Hi, this is Friends with Benefits, where I share the benefits of my friends with you all. It is so important to have friends that will share their experiences with you because we can all learn from each other. This is Amickoleh, Mickey for short. Yay.
Hi.
Thanks for coming, sis.
Absolutely. Thank you for the invitation.
Mick and she's also an online coach, and we just met. When did we meet? In January or February this year?
Yeah. Ooh, I
Yeah.
think it in January.
We both signed up for this course that teaches you how to create your own course. And we had to sign up for accountability partners, and we were drawn to each other and commented and found each other right away. She was living in New York at the time, and I love New York. And of course, she loves Hawaii. So boom, she was like, yes, we're gonna work together. Let's go across the world. Mick, you are so spirited and so loving, and I love how you like listen to your feelings. Like we'll be talking and I'll ask her something and she'll be like, okay, I'll see how I feel about that. I see how I feel about that later, like, so I love it. I feel like you never say like yes or no to things like right off the cuff. You just like always say like, I'll see how I feel. And I just feel like so much of us are not in touch with our feelings. So I want to know, like, what have you experienced that makes you know the importance of being in touch with how you feel?
That is such a good question. It's so funny that you perceive that because I feel like I've been in such a struggle of getting into that place. Like I feel like I'm kind of finally accepting to really honor my feelings more, especially now, like when it comes to like business and things like that. Because I'm such a overachiever. It's like if you give me instructions, like I'm gonna follow the instructions. Like if you're telling me, okay, you do A, B, C, and you're gonna get D, E, F. I want D, E, F, E, and F. So I'm gonna do exactly what you tell me to do, so I can get those results. And I've had to really realize and understand that like that doesn't always work, especially when you're because I feel like for me in my business, like it's very intuitive and I have to follow like my spirit, I have to follow my guidance. And for a little minute now, like literally up until recently, I've been kind of like in this like kind of friction because it's like I want to follow my guidance and I'm not really feeling it, but it's like, but I want to do A, B, C, D so I can get the results, So it's been like trying to balance that out. And it really has been a learning lesson, a lot of feeling resistance, a lot of feeling like just trying to figure it out. To me, it feels like an internal struggle,
Yeah.
And I feel like that's one of the things I've always admired with you. I feel like you are really in tune with your feelings and your emotions as well,
That's why we click, girl. Yeah.
Exactly. I feel like you're right. I feel like that's exactly why we clicked, because I definitely I needed to see that in practice, like a little bit more up close and personal, especially now that I was like entering this like new phase of life. And what I realized I was bringing like that old way of being, that old self into like this newness, and it wasn't clicking, like it wasn't jiving, and I couldn't figure out like, but I'm doing the things, like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, like what I'm supposed to be doing. And it just wasn't like flowing. It wasn't flowing. And it wasn't always like feeling good.
Yeah. Did you have an experience where you were not listening to your feelings and you like had to learn the hard way about that? Like the importance of it?
Yeah, I always kind of like start to shut down, like emotionally, honestly, and like I get really hard on myself and I beat myself up and I start to compare myself to other people and like, well, they're doing that and they're getting that, like I'm doing the same things, like how come I'm not getting that and I'm not, feeling that or whatever.
Ooh, so relatable. Yes.
Yeah, so that's typically like, and sometimes I just kind of get so like I just want the thing, and I kind of lose sight of like paying attention to how I'm feeling and really checking in with myself instead of just beating myself up and putting a bunch of pressure on myself. So it has been a learning lesson. It totally has been a learning lesson. I think just coming to the acceptance that work doesn't have to be hard, life doesn't have to be hard, like you don't have to put all this pressure on yourself to succeed. You can still be successful in your own way and authentically, and like that's really what I'm striving for now, is like authentic success, like what really feels good and feels aligned with me.
Yeah. Beautiful. Amazing. Thank you so much. And I know like I love that we are so connected in our feelings and are so connected in our hearts. Like that is such a good vibe in our friendship. So I know you have a question for me as well.
I do. You know, it's funny how you said earlier, like we kind of connected to each other very kismetly. And I think just from jump, the thing that I've always admired with you, and you even helped me out with this a little bit towards the beginning of our connection, with some pro bono, if you want to call it that, coaching.
I forgot.
Yeah, because I was really struggling with that, you know, like finding my flow. So I've always admired that about you. Like, how did you get into the flow of like following your heart, listening to your heart?
Ooh. So my coach says these things too, and when she says it now, I'm like, ooh, yep, that's important. Like she says, awareness, alignment, and action.
Ooh.
3 A's, right? And we love a good, what is those called? I don't know what they're called, not acronyms, right? But awareness. And I feel like I've always identified as a person who's been quite aware, but I don't think that I was in alignment for a lot of my life. And I think that that's what I hear when you ask that question of like following your heart and like being in your flow. It's like doing what really feels good for me. You know, Abraham Hicks talks about it. All these other media mentors and spiritual leaders that I really look up to talk about like doing what feels good. I always thought, just like you, that it was the struggle that made things worth it. It was like, it was the work that made you better. You know, it was the effort and the struggle and the hardness and the hardship. And while I think those have a place, because I think those are part of the human experience as well, and like building our confidence and stuff, I do feel like it was like really like talking to myself over and over again with these two questions. What would I love and what feels good? What would I love and what feels good? And when I really changed that like mindset around doing stuff for me is not at the expense of other people.
Ooh.
Yeah, I thought doing stuff for myself was going to be at the expense of others. So that's why I felt like it was selfish, because I felt like it was like me or them. But I realized that it's me and them, you know, like it's me first and everyone else gets to benefit from me being in a good spirit, from me taking care of my body, from me taking care of my finances, from me being happy. You know, people get to benefit even from that. It's not like at the expense of them, you know? So I think that was a huge allowing for me to follow what felt good for my heart and felt good for me. Just because I was like, no, man, this benefits all of us. Like what's best for me is best for everyone. And like doing this is actually going to help me. And I ask myself all the time, like even the other day, I was like, okay, I really want to go on a hike. I really want to go on a hike. And then I was like, what feels best for you right now? Like, what feels best for you? And my cousin invited me to dinner. And I was like, okay, I don't want to go on a hike in the middle of the day because I live on the west side of this island and it's really hot. But, and I want to go to dinner. I would love to go to dinner. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go to the park and just go walking at the park, take Gilza, throw a ball around and go to dinner. You know, and it's like giving up that rigidity that like, I told yourself you were going to do this. So you got to do it, you know, and just being like, what really feels good for me, you know? And like, when I made that plan, it felt good to say I'm going to go on a hike on Sunday. But when Sunday came, didn't feel so good to do that. So instead of pushing myself, I'm just like, okay, just what feels good for you? What feels good for you, Chas, you know? Thank you. That's and what people might not know about you as well is that you are so in touch. I love how you are. I call you a chakra coach. Like, I know you call yourself something different, but I feel like if I have any questions about chakras and how those energies in alignment like impact each other, I feel like I can go to you. So like, can you share a little bit more about like the spiritual place that you feel like you coach people from and how you help people in that way?
Yes, absolutely. For me, it's all about authenticity and helping people connect with their authentic truth and following what they're feeling called to do. and like you said earlier, not making it feel like it's at the expense of anyone else. Like, oh, if I'm authentic, then like such and such is gonna like be lacking, or I'm gonna have to like overcompensate, or whatever the case may be. Like really just letting go of all of that. And I think for me personally, it comes with shedding a lot of societal programming and upbringing and conditioning and all of that, and just being like, I don't buy into that. I don't agree with that. I'm not going to do that, and being okay with that. So when I work with my clients, it's always from that space. Like what feel like you said that I love what you said of the awareness and the alignment. Like, that's what I asked them. Like, what feels the most aligned for you? Like, can you find another job that really resonates with what you're wanting to do and how you're wanting to feel in the world? Like, and this was me too for a while. Like sometimes we just feel like, oh, but I need to work and I need this job, so I'm just gonna like suck it up and just put up with the racism and the gender bias and all of that. And it's like, no, once you come to that place where you're like, I don't deserve that, so I'm not going to put up with that. And it does come with like letting go of these ideas that like I have to deal with this, because like, what are my other choices? And it's figuring out like, oh, but there are other choices. There are plenty of other choices, and once you really do that inner work and you don't settle, those choices start to come, they start to come to you just effortlessly, and like you said earlier, like we put so much effort into things. And like there's a spiritual teacher that I follow named Miriam Hasna, and she's always talking about like, we're always efforting. That's how she said, we're always efforting, putting so much effort into things. But to your point, like when you're truly in alignment, like things come effortlessly. And I think that's what I'm always striving for. It's like, how can this be more effortless? What do I need to do? Like, what inner work do I need to do to really align myself with what is effortless and what feels good at the end of the day?
Yes, so good. So good. Thank you so much for being here, sis. And thank you everyone for watching. It pays off to be in touch with your feelings. It allows you to know what your spirit really wants.
Yeah.
That's me and Mick's message for you right now, a little improv message. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.